of the second speech for speech class with Dr. Amanda Fairbanks at Kaiser University. And before I begin speaking, I want to introduce my audience for you. And over here, I have my mother, Dr. Ana Isabel Avalos, who is a psychiatrist. And via webcam, I have Miss Gigina Yamate, who was my teacher in school for 5 years and who taught me subjects such as history and geography. So we'll begin the speech right now. Over the last century, women all over the world have changed the way they live. Women have passed from being relegated to activities in the house, such as housekeeping and caretaking, to actively participating in all the areas, such as the arts and the sciences. They make very important contributions, which are now widely recognized. This has been a great advancement for them. However, recently, the concept of gender quotas has arisen in the political world. For many years, women were able to access politics and public service thanks to their own merit and their own capacity. However, gender quotas have come to try and make this easier for them. However, they are not the best option. Today, I am here to speak about the negative aspects related to political gender quotas. What are the gender quotas? They can be defined as a set of rules that force political parties to name some of their candidates as women. These positions are limited only to women. So to illustrate this, I have today a small map that you can see over here, and it's titled Countries with Electoral Gender Quotas. It's a map of the world. And it shows us the different types of gender quotas that there are. In green, we can see the countries that have gender quotas only for legislative candidates. This accounts for most of Latin America, for example. In red, we have the countries that have gender quotas reserved only for assembly seats. And in yellow, we have countries such as Canada and Australia, where the gender quotas are optional and voluntary for the political parties. They are not legislated. So as I mentioned, we are going to be discussing some of the negative aspects associated to these legislations. This discussion comes in at a time of great political activity in my own country, El Salvador, since we had political elections earlier this year for mayors and legislative assembly members, and we have an important presidential election coming up in February 2019, according to information from Tribunal Supremo Electoral. Now, in the case of El Salvador, the gender quotas were approved in 2013 when the Ley de Partidos Políticos, or Law of Political Parties, was approved by the Legislative Assembly. This comes from an article by the PNUD, or Programa de las Naciones Unidas para el Desarrollo, published in 2013. According to the legislation in El Salvador, political parties are now forced to place 30% of all their candidacies for women exclusively. The reason why I chose to discuss this topic is because I had previous experience with it, since I discussed it at a debate contest held at ESEN, Escuela Superior de Economía y Negocios, which is one of the most important business schools that we have in this country. Now, the imposition of gender quotas goes against basic principles of both democracy and feminism. The gender quotas are often cited as being a tool for equality. However, this is not really the case. The exact opposite may happen. Gender quotas may be rendered useless in a system that is bureaucratic. Let's begin by discussing the first point that I mentioned. The gender quotas violate a basic principle of democracy, According to Joanna Toffey, who is a member of the Irish Parliament and an outspoken critic of the legislation, she says that in a democracy, the people should be absolutely free to choose their candidates and the people who govern them. If we impose the quotas, we would be discriminating not only against women, but we would also be discriminating against men. Let me explain a bit more about this. We would be discriminating women because people would assume that women are only in political positions because of the quota and not because of their own capacities. And we would be discriminating men because if all candidates are selected according to their gender, a party may block male candidates' candidacy based on the fact of filling up the quota and not on the candidates' intelligence, knowledge, and capacities. Now let's discuss the second point that I mentioned, which was that the gender quotas diminish the equality in our world. Political gender quotas can often have an effect contrary to what is desired when it comes to equality. Equality is the main argument that the people who support the quotas use to support them. If we analyze the issue superficially, we can also get to this conclusion. However, if we analyze it a little deeper, we can realize that we are giving a group some special benefits that the other group doesn't have. Isn't this a condition of clear inequality then? Let's go on with the third argument I mentioned. Political gender quotas can end up benefiting the wrong people. In a system that is bureaucratic and in a society where influences can be the most important tool for success, the gender quotas can end up benefiting only the women who are already very close to the power structures. For example, the wives, the sisters, or the daughters of politicians. They are usually the first ones to be offered the political positions that are taken up by the quota. If I had to cite a specific example, I could mention the case of a politician that we have here in El Salvador, who is called Will Salgado. According to an article by the newspaper La Huella Digital, written by a journalist called Antonio Fragua, that candidate Salgado, who is a founding member of political party Ghana, offered for the 2018 elections positions to both his wife and his daughter as secondary deputies to the Legislative Assembly and as mayor, respectively. Now, after we have seen this clear example of why political gender quotas do not function appropriately, let's review. Today, I have mentioned how gender quotas in politics can often have some negative consequences, such as hurting a democracy, diminishing equality, and promoting nepotism. I